welcome y'all to the episode 4 of the Muncie Music Scene podcast. I'll allow my guest to introduce himself.
What up? My name is Patrick Wray, aka Patty, aka Johnny Oahu, aka Drummer. Drummer for hire, drummer bitch, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. This is... I'm gonna turn yours up. I'm still learning. This is only my second time using this software.
You're all good. I don't do a chords, remember? I'm a drummer.
It's picking up on mine, and come on. No. I'll have to edit this shit. I don't understand what the hell is going on. It's scrolling on yours. It's all plugged in. I checked it earlier and it was working.
Check, check, check. Check. Microphone check.
Yeah.
Testies, 1, 2.
Even when I tap it, it's alright. I mean, this one's picking up in that, so I'll make it work. I don't know if I'm just talking louder than you or not. Lean into it some, see if that might be the issue.
Who knows? Maybe.
Talk a little bit.
A little bit.
It's picking up now.
Alright.
Alright, well, technical difficulties out of the way.
You'll have that.
When did you start in the local scene here?
Well, I'd say my first show out in Muncie probably would have been in '95, possibly the Flying Tomato. We also played a outdoor fest called the Wombat Fest around that time.
Yeah.
COC, which is now the Hollow, was kind of starting up around that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the Dead Pigeon when it first opened up. And so yeah, '95, somewhere around there.
What bands were you playing with at that time?
That time it was my high school band Green, which was me, Nathan Reese, Jeremy Erk, and Ryan Sexton. We were kind of like a psychedelic trip band,
Mm-hmm.
and that transformed. We found a singer named Laura Barr, and that transformed into more of a hippie-esque type jam band. And
So you always had the easy lay in you.
a little bit, yeah.
Where'd you progress from there?
Well, the Easy Lays came next after Green, because the Easy Lays were Nathan Reese, myself, and Jeremy Erk, who we were all in Green, and it just kind of progressed to there because Nate started getting into more surf music, and
I didn't realize that Easy Lay was around that long.
oh yeah, well, the Easy Lays, I think, were around 18 years, I think, like for the full, because I think Nate and Jeremy and I played for a full 20, and yeah.
That's news. I didn't know that, so I'm learning something new right there. Where else you guys play in that band?
Where didn't we play? I mean, literally, like because that band was so strange. We had so many different sets. Like we had a bar set. We had a professional set where we'd play like dinners and stuff down at the convention center.
You're gonna have to tell me about that.
They tucked us in a corner and said, just play instrumental music while these people that are here for a convention eat their dinner. And it's like, it was the weirdest thing. Like the end of song, crickets, no one's even paying attention to us. We're just background music.
Wow, I didn't know they did that. Did you guys at least get paid?
Oh yeah, Easy Lays were the highest paying band I ever was in.
Alright, I mean, so that's just
we played weddings. I think the only thing we didn't play was like an actual funeral with a body and a bat mitzvah. But everything else we played. We played Halloween parties, we played birthday parties, like I said, we played weddings.
And that was the idea behind the different theme sets.
Yeah. And because the thing that no one really knew about the Easy Lays was we were a cover band. So we found all those songs and learned them. Like we had written 2 originals. I think we remembered how to play 1. But everything was a cover band, so we would just find.
Yeah.
And it was all basically about the same rhythm for me, so it was really easy. But I think the strangest gig we played with them, that I played with them, was the Muncie Junior Ballet down at the Masonic Temple downtown. That was interesting.
A ballet.
Well, there was no ballet going on. It was this woman who was in charge of it, she had to put a show together, but she had a lot of other stuff going on, and somehow got a hold of us, and we literally walked across the stage, followed by 15 little girls all wearing poodle skirts. Walk across stage, play a song, get up, walk back across stage. We did that 3 times. Just intermittent throughout the show. It was just strange. There's video of parents and my long-haired, pierced, tattooed ass walking across with their daughter following me in a poodle skirt. Like this is not good.
The visual on that is just.
Yeah, Nate got that gig and we weren't too happy with him. But we all had different names in the band. That's why I said Johnny Wahoo. That was my name. Nate was Dr. V, and then our bass player Jeremy was Don Ho-Daddy-O.
Don Ho-Daddy-O.
Because we found out a Ho-Dad was a surfer, like a greaser surfer dude. Because back one of the albums we found, and it was like, hey, you're a dad. We're gonna name you Ho-Dad. You didn't want to be named Ho-Dad, so we're like, all right, Don Ho-Dad.
So what year was the Easy?
The Easy Lays came out probably about 2000, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And we just went crazy. We built tiki bars and decorations. When we brought a show, we brought a show.
I think the first time I remember seeing you guys was around '04. I don't exactly remember where, but it was outside. And I do remember a tiki bar and like Hawaiian shirts and.
Well, we played one show one year behind the Herat where Stan, the owner of Herat, covered the entire back parking lot in sand. And had our tiki bars out there, and we played all day, had a dunk tank, and
damn,
beach volleyball, and hula contests, and so it was like...
It tells you the difference in the scene now compared to then, because I couldn't imagine anything like that.
Nobody would do it.
Coming into that though, dude, what was it like back then, getting shows and playing around?
It was fun. It was busy. We were always playing, and that's how we met so many people and got so many different connections, and how I got to be in so many other bands because of that. Because there was so much stuff to do in town that there was no. This was a strictly metal crowd. This was a strictly jam crowd. Everybody was kind of
together,
thrown into the mix and mingle. Sometimes you didn't get along, sometimes you did, and you had the hooligans, but
yeah, I mean that's in every scene.
Exactly, yeah.
Looking at the venues now, how many were back then? Like around 2000? Because I feel Muncie only has like I think 3 right now.
Well, I can't remember. It was the Speakeasy. We played a lot of Speakeasy where Be Here Now is.
Yeah.
And before that, it was Headliners. But we never played Headliners. Like I said, we played at the Flying Tomato in the Village, Docks, which is now Valhalla, the Center Stage,
yeah,
if you remember that one, which is now the Mark. That's about.
You guys played the Water Bowl.
We played the Water Bowl.
I mean,
we grew up around that area, so we knew the Irvings, the original owners, but being a beach surf band,
the Water Bowl's perfect.
Beach surf in town, so anytime they'd want to do something, they'd give us a call.
I heard a lot about the Flying Tomato on the episode I did with Kindred. It sounded like a fun place to play.
It was. I mean, it was, especially the age I was, because still in high school, we just wanted to get out and play and experience it.
Yeah.
And that's why we started the festivals that we'll probably talk about, was because we couldn't get into bars to play because we weren't 21. So, but the Flying Tomato was a restaurant, so anybody could come there, and our high school friends could come there. It was a weird setup because you were on this little, I don't know if you've ever been in that building, but the stairs kind of going everywhere.
Yeah, I've obviously been in it after.
Yeah.
I don't remember what bar it became.
Well, it's the Twin Cats now, or I don't even know if it's open now, but what was it?
I don't remember. I remember going there when I went to Ball State.
Wasn't the end zone, but it was something like that.
Yeah. It was like sports themed bar.
Yeah,
I remember that. I didn't like it too much. I think I only went there maybe a handful of times when I was in college. So.
Yeah. But yeah, the Tomato was really cool to play just because of the way it was set up and just like I said, the age we were at.
Yeah.
They actually would put you in the paper. They would put their lineup of the month in the paper. So it's like, sweet, we made it into the paper, you know, that type of shit. But and I liked playing COC when it you know, first opened. I still like going in that room because the black and white tile and the stage, the only thing's the same as the first time I ever went in that room. So I still like going in there. I still like playing that stage. It's a fun stage to play.
Yeah.
I played the Pickle Peach, but I don't think it was around at the time because they all worked with Hurrah.
I feel like every bartender or bar owner at some point has worked.
Yes, or had dealings with them.
Did you ever play upstairs at the Hurrah?
I played all 3 floors of Hurrah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. The 3rd floor was treacherous because it was way up there, but I think it's the brewery now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just this really small room that we played up there. But I played the 2nd floor quite a bit.
Have you seen it since it's been remodeled?
Did they remodel again from when it looked like a ship?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say upstairs is different again because upstairs of Valhalla now there's a stage. Also, you take that insane back fucking staircase, and then now when you come up, if you look to your left, it's an opening. There's a stage, a sound booth, and all that. And then if you go to your right, it's pretty much blocked off from where the bathrooms were at, and then where the stage was at, it's just like the wall now. So you can only go to the bathrooms over there.
Oh wow.
Unless you have a key. There's a door, like doors to go through, but obviously it's blocked off. I actually had my high school reunion up there. That's the only reason I even got to see the remodeled. So that place apparently has been through a hell of a lot of changes since you've been around.
Well, you know, everybody always loved the Hurrah because of the dark and dinginess of it. So you know, it took a lot probably for Stan to give that up and like start cleaning things and repainting and making it a little brighter in there.
My favorite thing upstairs playing there, going off track a little bit on the 2nd floor stage, was just how small and packed it was.
Oh yeah,
like,
it was very personal.
Yeah.
I mean, you were, and that's what another thing I liked about the Speakeasy. Because you know the stage was maybe what a few inches high, and everybody was just right there on you. And I don't mind being on the taller stages, but I also like more being involved. And
yeah, I like eye contact, and it used to freak people out when I first started playing when we play on shows like that because I would just like lean in,
stare at them.
Yeah, I always thought that was fun though.
I'm way in the back, ain't nobody looking at me.
So Easy Lays is around 2000. What other bands were you in around that time? Or did you not start playing in other bands until later? Because like you said, it
was around that time that I started getting calls for other bands. And
a good drummer, man. That shit's hard to find.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's more, but at that time there was, really kind of few and far between. And especially some ones, and this didn't put anybody down, but that wanted to step out of their genre. Because Dave Dalton is fantastic, but will Dave Dalton be able to play, like, with Pray for Mojo, like, play bluegrass for 2.5 hours? He probably could. I'm not, like I said, I'm not putting anybody down, but a lot of those phone calls were coming to me, and if you remember Michael Wedmore, Wed.
Yeah.
And so,
rest in peace.
Yeah. And so we were kind of getting, hey, we need somebody to fill in, or hey, I like what I'm doing with this band, but I'd like to do something else,
Yeah.
Do you want to be the drummer in that? I've turned down quite a few. Like, I'm not the drummer you're looking for. But it was around 2000, 2001, something that I started getting phone calls. And a lot of those bands kind of went by the wayside. Like, we'd practice for a couple weeks, and then nothing would come of it.
Yeah.
And then, when I was playing with Pray for Mojo, it was hit or miss on, because they would get a lot of weird random shows like the Lays would, and some that they couldn't be louder, so they couldn't have a drummer. And some like, hey, we're playing this outdoor gig, you want to come and join us? Sure, why not? We gonna practice before? No. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Just wing it.
Yep, just get up there and do it. And so it was around then I started getting all those phone calls.
What bands stick out around that time to you?
Well, I got to audition for Mantis when Nick left that band, and I didn't get the gig. But through that, I got hooked up with Jay Kennedy, and we started doing Malachi.
Yeah, I remember Malachi.
And like we did Malachi for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Then that switched over to me and the bass player leaving and going and doing Beware the Other Worldsmen. That band wasn't around
I was gonna say, that
real
doesn't
long.
ring
We
a bell.
played a couple shows. Like we played like out in Albany. We played a couple shows downtown. We didn't play out that much, but then also, you know, was dating this girl, met this group of guys that were, you know, they were mediocre, and their drummer was leaving, so I joined Mediocre. With Sloppy and Gummer and all them, and
Yeah, that band name rings a bell.
yeah, well, and then
I've seen
Sloppy
them.
left, and that's when we became Riverfront.
Okay, that's
And
the name I remember.
Yeah, well, you should. You
Yeah.
had to come up on the stage to kick
Yeah.
us off at one time.
Oh man.
We still talk about that because you
Dude.
brought 2 people up for Gummer and 1 for me. Like,
They sent me to talk to you because we'll go off on this tangent for a second because I still do to this day I still feel like an ass. But I was working at Doc's. Your band was playing, and the manager told me to go tell you guys to get off the stage. And
for a DJ.
yeah. And I was like, bro, you gotta be kidding me. And he was like, no, you need to go do it. He was like, I know you know the drummer. He was like, you're in this scene here. He was like, I know you know them. And I'm like, man, why do I gotta be the one to do it? Like, and he's like, cause you know them.
You know at least one of them.
And I was like, fuck. And dude, it took me like 10, 15 minutes of like just building enough courage to just be like, hey, Patty, I'm sorry. Bro,
You guys need to stop. We were only like 2 or 3 songs into it as well. That's what really kind of pissed us off the most. But
damn, man.
But I mean, you'll have those. If you haven't had a situation sort of like that, you know,
Yeah.
either getting pushed back in time or getting your time cut, or, you know,
But like 3 songs.
3 songs is
yeah.
a bit much, yeah.
Dude, I still feel like an ass over that. It wasn't my decision.
Oh, I know,
but it's still
We're not putting blame.
happened to be the one to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. I didn't remember that part until you brought that up. But like I said, I remember Riverfront. So
And that was really one of the last bands that I was in. Like, we continued on with Riverfront for, I don't know, a good 7 years or something like that. And,
what time frame was that around?
Well, it ended probably about 3 years ago, like when I first, you know, stopped kind of playing.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, 7 years before that, so the last 10 years.
I was gonna say because I remember the show I had to because I worked there in like 2011 and 12, so that time frame makes sense. Obviously, bringing up the Leaf stuff. What got you? I mean, it was you and a few other people.
It was mostly the band Green, all those guys that I talked about, and a few others, friends that we had that wanted to help. But really, we started doing those because Muncie was a lot like it is today. Not a whole lot of places to play anyway, and then also not a lot of places, you know, if you're not 21.
Yeah, I remember. And I snuck into the speakeasy. If you
Yeah, I jumped the back fence for headliners to go see the Y Store.
Yeah.
Back when I was in, you know, 17, 18 or something like that. So we decided we wanted to throw an outdoor gig. Like I said, we did one of our first gigs was at Wombat Fest, and it was way out in the country in a big barn, and like it was a blast. So we're like, you know, if we can't get gigs, let's have our own. And where we had them was Nate's parents' house, and they had this really natural amphitheater in their front yard. Like we could set the stage up at the bottom. So we started doing that. We didn't think it was going to last 10 years. Like we're like, I mean, that first year we were putting bands together to have like a full lineup of a half a day's
worth of music.
People there, yeah. And then that one went off successfully, so we did another one.
What was the first one called?
Fallen Leaf.
Just Fallen
Yeah.
Leaf.
And we did it in the fall because we're unoriginal.
Yeah.
So we did that for a couple years, the Fallen Leaf, and then we wanted to do another one, so we decided to do 2 in 1 year, and we did one in the spring and named it Budding Leaf. And again, they were all going well because we were a non-for-profit, you know, organization. We had a bunch of group. We had a president, vice president, secretary, so it wasn't just one person making decisions. if you put money into it, kept your receipt, you get money back, and
Yeah.
whatever money we made, we paid for the next festival. So, you know, okay, that one went off well. That went off well. So we had 2 going. That was for a few years. And then we had known and met all the people in the heavier side of music, because when I went to Delta, so I went to school with Starkey and Mike Johns, and so I knew the Necropus guys, and we met the Legion guys, and so we decided, like, well, let's throw one in the wintertime, and you know, name it Deadleaf, because it was going off the whole, you know, the budding of plants, falling of plants, and in the wintertime they're all dead, so we decided to start throwing the metal one, and that one was our most popular, you know. It was our easiest one to throw too, because it wasn't outside. So
when
you
was
didn't.
the first one?
The first Deadleaf.
'Cause I remember-
2005 or 6.
That's what I was thinking. Around
Something around there. 'Cause
around
I
there,
know,
so
like
was
I think
still in
I was
high
gonna say
school.
like 2000, like we threw 99, 2000 we threw the first Fallen Leaf, and we did just that Fallen Leaf, just the one a year for a couple years, and then we decided, like I said, do the Budding Leaf. We did the 2 a year for a couple years, and then decided to throw the third one in. And we had plans to do a summer event and name it Greenleaf, but we never got around to doing that one because summertime is so busy. You know, it's harder to decide when it's going to be a good time to do it, when
Especially
people are not going to be out of
campus,
town. Yeah, and campus, you know. But you can't rely on campus really too much in this town.
No.
I mean, especially now, because a lot of kids don't like to get out and about and do things. But even then, it was, you know, we always try to do the Fallen Leaf before graduation, before all the Ball State kids left, and it's like you wouldn't really see a whole lot of Ball State crowd out there. But so it was a lot of townies. Which is good, you know.
Yeah, dude, keeping the locals involved, like, that's one thing I notice when I go to Be Here Now a lot. You do see college kids, but I see more local people than I do college people, especially at the shows and everything, so.
Well, a lot of local people have been going in that, you know, like I was talking about the room of Valhalla, you know. That building, even though it's changed a lot, is still the same a lot. You know, staircases are still in the same places, nothing's been remodeled too bad. Spiral painting on the floor, and that's been there since Headliners.
Damn.
Like,
yeah, I didn't realize all that. But you said Deadleaf ended up being the most popular of the 3.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
What was? Oh man, I wish I fucking still had MySpace so I could find that original Deadleaf flyer.
I thought about going through a bunch of the shit, because I have a bunch of the shit at home. Like, I've got like all the hoodies that we made, because we didn't sell the hoodies, we made the hoodies for the people in the organization, so I still have all those. I still have all my lanyards.
I have
in a big plastic tub, I've got flyers and newspaper articles and all that. So I'm like the archivist of it all back then, and I didn't dig any of that shit out.
No, dude, you're good. I remember my first Deadleaf experience. God, I remember.
That's good, because I probably don't.
I remember getting there like, I want to say like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and just being there all day.
Where was it at?
The first one I remember is Center Stage.
Okay. So I think that was probably the second year we did it, because the first year we threw it at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, and I remember hearing about that one, but at the time, dude, I was still in high school. My mom was awesome. She let me play music, do all that, but she was still like iffy.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to the first one at Center Stage because she knew the building.
Yeah.
Because I had gone to other shows there, so she knew fairgrounds. There's a lot of area for me to wander off and go do stupid shit. And at Center Stage, she had me go with a friend of mine who was a lot older than me and was like, "Hey, you probably met him on it. He played Rev 13 for a while, Mike Queen."
Yeah.
Yeah, he went with me. My mom was like, keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't do anything dumb.
Now, was she one of the ones we gave the tour of the building to, like, before?
Yeah.
Because I knew we had a few parents like that, who like, oh, I just want to come in and check it out. And like, go right ahead. Like, we'll show you what's going on.
My mom was one of them. And I remember fucking Necrophagus and just Legion and all these heavy bands and just getting to experience all that at once. Like, growing up as a metalhead, I had like one friend that was super into the like scene and the music, and he's in the band now with us, Cody Piercy. So at that
I know
time,
Cody.
yeah, at that time, dude, it was. I didn't really know a lot of people that were into that. I had Mike and I had Cody, and Cody obviously was there. So
Yeah.
but I can't remember all the bands that played. I remember I still
I was
have a
like
lot of.
Necrophagus, Legion, Dying Gear,
Oh man, Dying Year.
Revelation 13 might have played. Um, if Mantis was around then,
I think
they might have
I
played.
remember seeing them on one of them. I don't remember, or a few of them. I just don't remember which. If it was Mantis or Red Horse or Subsea.
I know Tempest, if you remember
Yeah, oh
them,
yeah.
they're-
I played in Leviathan, which was
Yeah.
Tempest after. It's the same, pretty much same members, just doing
Yeah.
different things. Yeah, I remember Tempest being there. Laid to Waste keeps popping.
Laid
in
to
my
Waste,
head.
yeah. Jay Kennedy was in that
Yeah.
one, and
It's
That's-
Sledge keeps popping in my
yeah,
head.
Sledge with Phil, and I think Starkey was in that at the time.
Yeah. I still have some CDs that I got from going to those. I have a lot of, like, I have like a, you remember the old CD books?
Oh, yeah,
I have
yeah.
one full, like, old local stuff that I used to get all the time.
Well, I've got a stack of local bands that I, because we would get CDs sent to us,
Mhm.
or like, you know, and we were going to be put on these festivals, you know, we didn't, okay, we need 9 bands, we have 6. So it's like, okay, we got to go find,
Yeah.
because we couldn't put a metal band together, you know,
Mhm.
so you go out to shows and you just,
Mingle.
oh wait, you're Patty, the guy with the deadly, here, have our CD. You're like, okay. I'd go home with a stack of them, you know, and just we'd sit around at our FLP meetings and listen to the
Mhm.
CDs and be like, all right, do we want to have this band? That's why that's the thing that I loved most about Fallen Leaf Productions was it was not just one person, it was a
It was all of
organization,
it.
and you know, we all had an input,
Mhm.
so,
I didn't know you guys went through and listened to CDs and did all that.
oh yeah.
That's cool. I love this band, and I went to see them a bunch of times after seeing them at Deadleaf, but they were called Imminent Demise.
Yeah.
The singer was just a giant, and I just remember I was hooked, dude, when I saw them perform, them and a bunch of other bands, but that name, dude, when I was in Leviathan, we played with them a bunch of times, and I still have that CD from Deadleaf that I got that year. There's a lot of good memories of Deadleaf shows, especially from like my age group and like the metalheads. Like my drummer's not from Muncie, so he wasn't around for all that. He only moved here a couple of years ago. He played in Muncie over the year, like within the past like 6 years or so, but he just moved
Yeah.
here. Cody, obviously, everyone in the metal scene knows who Cody is. But my buddy Zach, who's in the band with me too, he grew up like right down the road from where Center Stage was at. So he was at a lot of those shows too. And we still talk about that, dude. Walking down the McDonald's in between bands.
Oh yeah.
All the fun shit.
I mean, we didn't throw, like, we liked the outdoor fest to be out in the country. And,
You can get away with more stuff.
well, yeah, but Muncie also doesn't like you to not involve them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I ran into
So-
that issue myself.
we got a lot of shit from Muncie, we weren't, getting this permit for this, we weren't getting this permit for that. And so we tried to move it in the summer ones in town. Like we threw one, either a Fallen Leaf or a Budding Leaf, we threw it at the fairgrounds, like
Yeah.
out in the carnival area,
Yeah.
outside. And it just wasn't the same because out in the country we incorporated camping into
Mhm.
it, and so it was
I was wondering
just
which
the
one
whole
was at
thing.
the fair area, because I remember going to that.
that one. I'm not, like I said, all
I
the
can't-
dates run
Yeah,
together.
I don't
like-
remember what year it was, but I remember going to one of the Leaf shows at the fairgrounds, but not in a building.
Yeah.
So that's cool that I can actually have something with that memory now, because for the longest time, dude, when I would think of the Fallen Leaf shows, I couldn't place that one. But I remember going to a Fallen Leaf show
at the fairgrounds in the fair area, but for the life of me, I could just never exactly remember what it was. So I appreciate now I have context for.
We did that. I think we only did it 1 year, and then we tried to move back out in the country, and that's when we really pissed Muncie off, and they shut us down. I remember we threw it out towards Selma area, out by the reservoir, and Nate and I were in town running last minute errands, and we get back out there, and there's like 7 or 8 cop cars, and Nate and I look at it, we're going to jail. We don't know what we did, but we're going to jail. But yeah, they cited us for not having enough porta pots, not having a dumpster out there, not having permits for excessive noise or something like that. And like they pretty much
Just
shut us down.
anything they
Like,
could throw at
like
you.
we had to stand, like I had to stand out on the street and turn people away that are driven from Ohio and stuff. It's like, just drive around the block. These guys are gonna leave in about 20 minutes, and then
Yeah.
we'll just do it. You know.
Go down, park at another area
Yeah, and
or
then-
something, come back.
So we still had a few bands play that festival, but it wasn't
As
a
big as it
festival.
should have
Like we
been.
couldn't call it ours. We couldn't charge admittance. Like it was a total loss for everybody. Like, but you'll have those. And then, you know, that's why I said all the dead leaves were easier because we'd have them in town. And the first one we had at the fairgrounds, but everybody kept bitching about alcohol. You can't have alcohol at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, that was an issue I ran into when I.
So then we found center stage, and it's like, okay, well, they have a bar in the back, but not in the area, so it's easier to keep the 21 people who want to drink and the not 21s separate. So we started filming it there, and there we didn't have to get the permits for the bathrooms. We didn't have to get the permits for disposal and all that stuff. So that's why I said it was a lot easier to throw and like our most popular ones because they were in town, not way out in the country, like centralized. People would come see the 2 or 3 bands they wanted to play, and then it was quick out for them.
I mean, a good location.
Yeah.
Right off Walnut Street downtown. I remember the first year that I got to play at Dead Leaf, and fucking how excited I was because the band I was in, Leviathan Rising, and we got to play Dead Leaf. But 2 of them had already played Dead Leaf when they were in Tempest, and I hadn't got to play Dead Leaf yet. And I remember when I think Casey said it was either you or Nathan that talked to him about it and like got us on the show. We played first, which I didn't fucking care. In my head, dude, that was the show for me.
Yeah.
I grew up going to those. I knew you guys. Like, I was just excited to play first. Like, I didn't care if I was playing first. You'd put me.
Oh, I've had those shows
like,
too, where I'm like, I just want to be on this lineup.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm playing first, or you can put me at last after the headliner when everybody leaves. You know, I just want to be on this lineup.
And that is a cool memory for me. I actually still kept a flyer from that show just because, as a local kid growing up in the scene, that being the main show you look forward to every year, and then getting to play it, that's a cool memory for me.
Having even played the Budding Leaves and Fallen Leaves, I remember when Malachi, you know, I finally got to play a Dead Leaf. I'm like, I wanted to play a Dead Leaf. I wanted to see people out in front of me bang into each other, you know.
That fucking pole, dude, right there off the center of the stage. God.
I was actually just at the Mark with some friends the other day, like a week ago, and we were talking about that. I'm like, yeah, I've seen somebody's nose get broken on that pole right there. Just face planted it, and he went running out, nose bleeding, having the time of his life. Like,
I have so many bruises on my arms and my back from hitting that growing up.
we thought about patting it, but
Dude, enter at your own risk.
that's what the sign said on the door.
Enter at your own risk.
We are not responsible for you if you get hurt. And we weren't, and no one ever, maybe we got lucky on that or what, but like no one ever charged us. But like you said, everybody was hitting that pole. And
the nose.
Oh yeah.
That was a fear of mine.
I remember somebody got injured too at the one at the fairgrounds, but I think it was like a broken wrist or something. I mean, 'cause it was cement floor. So.
Did you get it in the memorial building there?
Yeah.
Alright. That's what I thought. That's a big reason why I did the Mayhem and Muncie show, the first 3 at the memorial building, because I thought that's where Dead Leaf initially was.
That was the first location of it, yeah.
I just wanted to pay homage to you guys. I mean, we've talked about that multiple times. Yeah. Like you said, the reason you started doing it is because there was nothing going on, so you were like, fuck it, I'm gonna throw my own show. And that's the mentality I took with it.
And that was, you know, the mentality when we first started doing it. There wasn't too many places to play, but then when we first started doing deadlifts too, because we knew all the metal guys, we knew a lot of them. But it was also becoming a lot harder for them to get shows at these other bars, just because of the violence of the crowd.
Yeah.
Club owners didn't really want to deal with that. So it's like, okay, well now they're struggling finding places to play. So
that's why Deadleaf was always the, like I said, it was the one to look forward to, because it was bands, even local bands, you maybe see 2 or 3 times a year.
Exactly.
But then you get the out of town bands coming in that were just as heavy as fuck too, and it was just an all around good time.
And I can't remember the name of them, but for the Deadleafs, because we were saving money on all that other extra bullshit, we always tried to get like a sort of nationally known band, you know, like one that's actually on label and like touring around.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't remember the name of some of the ones we got, but a couple of them didn't show up because of weather. You know, Indiana winters are sometimes a bitch.
Yeah, and you can't predict it.
Well, yeah, you can't predict it, but it started becoming a joke that, okay, Deadleafs that weekend it's going to snow. Like, guaranteed it's going to fucking be a blizzard that weekend going, because Deadleafs that, and 9 times out of 10 it happens. And so you got a band from Florida going,
we can't make it.
we can't make it. Like, we don't know how to drive through that shit. So it's like, can we have our deposit back? Like, no.
Oh, fucking running shows, dude.
I tell you, it's
It's
all cracked up to be.
I've been snowed out before. I was nervous one year. It was the Toys for Tots show that my band we put on. It was the first one, and it wasn't supposed to snow. It was the week, like I think that it was like the first weekend of December. Hadn't fucking snowed all week. Kind of felt like it does right now, like 40s, 50s, nice weather. We get to the show, I'm setting up the boxes, you know, getting all the shit ready, and then one of my band guys comes in and is like, dude, look outside, and it's fucking blizzard weather.
Matter of a half hour, all of a sudden it went from nothing on the ground to
fucking foot of snow.
Who's digging my car out?
Yeah, and I just remember thinking, bro, this is gonna ruin it. I had Legion and Carrion Vale and my band playing, and I was like, bro, this is gonna suck. Carrion Vale is coming from Richmond. Legion was kind of spaced out that year. I think they had like a guitar player coming from Fort Wayne, and it actually turned out to be a good show. I put my own band first, because like you said, like sometimes you want to play your own shows, like, and
if it's your show and you want to play it, and you know, you take the shit spot, like, you know,
and that was our mentality with it.
Nobody wants to play first. Well, fine, we'll play first, and then, especially when you're the running it and playing it, you get super busy.
Yeah.
And you can't be doing your job to run it while you're on stage, so might as well get up there early, get it done, and then you can be the festival person you need to be.
That's why I was always like my mom. I like point inside. She helped me run door at a lot of our shows, especially the ones where we would be playing. When I would go play, my mom would be like, I got this, or my brother, like, let me take care of it. And you go do your thing for half hour, however long your set was, and come back. Because it's, like you said, dude, you get busy. Even a small 3-4 band show, you're running around talking to bands on your phone, trying to figure out shit. For the life of me, dude, I don't know why the hell I even got into it.
And you get into those all-day festivals, too. It's like you don't want to stick somebody at the door for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like, because then they don't get to really experience. And so, you know, with Fallen Leaf Productions, we had so many different people. It's like, okay, we had shifts worked out. You know, you get a 2-hour door shift, and then you go from your 2-hour door shift to working the food, then you'll get 2 hours off. Or if if you were in one of the bands playing, it's like, okay, you'll be up there doing that, and everybody else will be working their shifts, and so you can't do it alone. You definitely can't do it alone.
What made you stop doing the Fallen Leaf Productions? What happened with you guys with that?
Really just the hassle of it. That last year I was talking about when we moved it back out into the country, and you know, they shut us down, and we took a big financial hit. And at that time, we had some people in the organization who have moved, who had started families, and it was just a lot harder for everybody to get together. And do it, and so it's just much like anything, like bands and everything, it just kind of filtered apart and
faded away.
yeah. I mean, I still talk to a lot of them.
That's
We're
what I
still
was
good
wondering
friends.
too.
It's just
You still talk to Nate?
I haven't spoken to Nate in a couple of years. Just
I was wondering what happened to him. I haven't heard from him in a few years.
From what I've heard, I mean, he's still in town. He's still doing well. He and his wife just had a kid, so he's a father now. He's getting to experience all that. But as far as I know, I don't think he's playing anywhere.
Let's go back talking when you started playing in high school. How were your parents with that?
Oh, my dad was a band director, so I was born into it.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
and so that's pretty much why I picked drums, because you know, when we were with Dad, we'd be at the high school like on a Saturday. The whole band room's empty, but the drum set's there.
Yeah.
So I would just crawl in the drum set and start beating away like an animal. So that's why I gravitated toward that. And then Mom, there was just kind of no. She wasn't going to say no. Yeah. She's much like your mom. She was a bit timid, and you know, me starting to go out and play in places that she didn't know, but she never said no. She didn't agree with it, you know. And she came to a few shows. And
yeah. Did your dad come to shows?
no, my dad unfortunately passed away when I was 20, so he didn't.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So he got to see like the high school version of Green one time. We played at the Tally in the student center on Ball City.
Oh yeah. That's a thing people don't. The younger crowd don't realize is you could play shows there in the student center, especially around that time.
Oh yeah. They had a big eating area that was next to the food court called the Tally, and had like a stage in one end of it. And I don't even remember who booked us for that gig or what. I very rarely got the bookings.
Yeah.
A lot of those people would go through Nate. But yeah, Dad got to see that one, but Dad didn't get to see any of the others. He was gone before any of the festivals happened.
Yeah.
Or any...
I'm sorry, man.
No,
I
you're
didn't mean
good.
to bring something like that up.
I think he would have liked the Easy Lays the most out of everybody. He would have said every other band's too loud.
Easy Lays was always a fun time. Especially when I was old enough to drink and I could vibe more with that buzz going on.
Everybody always wondered why we started a Hawaiian surf band in landlocked Indiana, and I still don't really. Sounded like a good idea.
It's a good idea at the time.
Continue playing music with my two best friends, and I didn't really hate Hawaiian music. It definitely grew on me over the years, but at the time I was like, we're gonna play that. Like, you want me to play Wipeout, the song that I played when I was 7.
Yeah.
You still want me to play Wipeout as an adult? Like,
It's the Beach Boys.
and everybody thought it was Beach Boys, but it's hard to do 5-part harmony with 3 guys that can't sing.
Yeah. Coming up to, what was it? You said you quit playing in the past couple years. What really happened with that?
The law. I got in trouble and had to do a year on house arrest, and obviously
Can't play.
can't play out after that. And I'd switched jobs, and now the job I have, I work all weekends and nights, so it's just finding the time. Like I said, a lot of people that I played with in the past have families, and
Well, you're a dad now too, so.
I am a dad now. I haven't seen him in a year.
Oh.
Yeah.
I keep bringing up shit, man. God.
Like,
I feel like a dick, dude.
there's paperwork filed, and we're gonna get that situation figured out.
I'm sorry, man.
But I mean, this last year has been crazy anyway.
Insert
with-
foot in mouth.
Nah.
Like.
This last year has been crazy anyway, obviously with the pandemic, and I understand keeping him safe because he has Down syndrome and whatnot, but it's gone too far.
Yeah, dude.
So it's time to
It's
make
a
some.
year.
Yeah, it's time to nip that in the bud and get some changes made. So
Definitely. I agree with that. I don't agree with the dad not being able to see his kid, especially when he wants to.
yeah, that's the thing. Like that, you're forcing me to be a deadbeat dad because you're not allowing me to. Whatever.
Time going back to something else. What all recordings and everything do you guys have left over from those days? Because you said the Easy Lays is a cover band. Did you guys record?
Well, we did. I mean, this might be another thing people don't know, but with Ball State, they have the state-of-the-art recording studios at Dave Letterman Studios, and those students need bands to record. So we got hooked. Yeah, I've done it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So the Easy Lays did a recording up there. Like we have videos of us and from like the Halloween shows downtown that Muncie used to do. But the Easy Lays never really went in a recording studio except for the Ball State one. Malachi did record an album in Andrew Chrisman's studio.
Palace of
Sorrow, yeah. So that's out there somewhere. People have them. I think I have a couple at home.
I don't have any of that.
I know Riverfront, we did the Ball State recording studios. But other than that, I don't really have too much out. Like we recorded a lot of the festival sets and whatnot, because that was we weren't paying bands.
You were a live band.
Yeah, we weren't paying bands, so we would professionally ADAC record them and give them that so they could download it and release a live album if they wanted to. So we have those, and so there's stuff out there, but not.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
A whole lot.
Well, especially after seeing you guys a few times when I did, it makes sense that you guys were a live band. Like, even being a cover band, like I don't think people would have got the vibe on a recording. You guys were just one of those bands you had to see live. Like you said, the tiki bars, the sand in the parking lot, like I always.
We had a friend of our artist paint us a backdrop that looked like a volcano, and it was blacklight receptive, so at night we'd turn on blacklight and it'd glow, and had the cauldrons of fire and the tiki torches, and so yeah, we were trying to put on as much of an experience as we could.
Yeah. Where was your favorite place that you played at in that band?
We always went really well at the Freaky Tiki Fridays, which they held in a parking lot downtown, but next to the Blue Bottle, which is now Casa del Sol.
Yeah.
And we always did really well there because we always did really well with older crowds. The older crowds didn't more like want to come to a bar to see us. They, probably wouldn't have come into Doc's, out of their own.
I remember
mental
you guys
shit.
playing over there.
So yeah, we did really well at those. Did really well out the Water Bowl, and we did really well with the Goat, because Nate was in the Goat too. So we would kind of piggyback at the Speakeasy with them a lot, and that's how I got the final band that I was in with Jake Hendershot, the singer of the Goat. I was in a band with him after he auditioned with The Voice. And we did that for a little while, and then he had some health issues that he had to get taken care of, and he's slowly starting to come back. Thank God that he healed, because he's a hell of a singer.
Yeah, I remember hearing the Voice episodes with him on it. I don't think there was a lot.
There was actually, he never actually made it onto the show per se, but he made it onto the audition show.
I remember the YouTube clips.
He was on it for about 15 seconds.
Yeah. I remember different YouTube clips, because I remember when you said you were joining that band, I remember seeing it on Facebook, and that's when I was like, I'm going to YouTube who this guy is real quick. I want to see.
And we weren't allowed to, like, when he put the band together, we weren't allowed to tell anybody that he was auditioning for The Voice. And I mean, he made it through so many rounds of auditions just through, recording yourself at home online.
And that's probably why I would see the clips, because they were never long clips.
No.
But I always saw little clips of that. But I try to keep up on like people that I know and care about, like what they're doing musically, especially if I make it through music. And that's what wanted me to look him up, because I didn't know the name.
Yeah.
The name, wasn't it Jake Hendershot and the something, like weren't you guys?
The Vintage Reserves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious too when a person puts their name as the band name.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what drew my attention into that as well.
Well, I think he offered it up to us if we wanted to just have the name as Jake Hendershot. But we thought it'd be cool to have something else. And
yeah.
we were, you know, all older guys kind of that grew up in this scene, because Jake and Luke Crawley were in like Utopian Height back in the day when I was still in high school. Like they were the central band, we were the Della band, and then so I knew him through there. And then obviously Jake went on and formed the Goat and played with Nate all those years of that.
Yeah,
and
I remember seeing the Goat.
I filled in for the Goat a few times, and so then when Jake started doing his solo stuff and doing all that, trying to get on The Voice, he called some people.
Yeah.
And I was the guy that he called. I was like,
that's what's cool
yeah.
how that works out.
I mean, when you listen to somebody sing you the phone book, like, because I just love Jake's voice. Like, if I listen to you sing the phone book to me, how am I going to be in a band with you?
We talked about Wedmore. Were you the one behind Wedfest out at the Water Mole?
No, that was probably more Nate. I mean, I played in 5 different bands that festival, but
that's one thing we haven't got to talk about. The 5 different band era.
It lasted for a minute. Thank God you had 2 drum sets, because you could just leave one place and one in another place and just kind of.
What all 5 bands were there at that time?
It was still, I think, see, at that time that I was talking to you about, I'm pretty sure the Easy Lays were still going. I think Mediocre Riverfront was going its time as well. That's when Beware the Other Worldsmen that I talked about, that came from Malachi. I was jamming with Pray for Mojo off and on, and there's a local comedian in town named Mikey Mason, and he was putting a band together, and so I was practicing to do some stuff with him. On 5 practices in 1 week, sometimes it was, and then gigs on weekends if we had them. So.
God, dude, I don't know how you did that. I did 2 bands at once and thought that was too much. Like,
well, that Wedfest I played with Green. We had a reunion with Green, because Wed played with Green a few times, played hand drums and whatnot, and then I played with the Easy Lays, I played with Riverfront, I played percussion with the Goat, and I played with the majority of the songs with Ridiculicious, which was Wed's band. And so they wanted me to play in Wed's spot, which is some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I remember that band. I didn't have a lot of interactions with him, but I remember the band. I actually played that Wedfest too. We played super late. It was like 1 in the morning.
It was 3 days.
Yeah. I don't remember which day we played on, because there was a lot of alcohol.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, just celebrating someone's life, like. And
this isn't a joke about Wed's size, but somebody of his size and caliber in this town, like, I mean, for what he'd done.
Crazy the amount of people that came out in bands, and just the influence he had overall. Like, getting to hear all the stories, that's one reason I like to do this, is I like to hear stories.
Yeah.
And being able to hear about the influence that just one person has, it's crazy, especially in a small town like this. Like, one person just being able to, I mean, dude still lives on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're talking about him now, and that was, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
7.
7.
I think when Wedfest was, I think it was 7 years ago.
I mean, my time frame. But exactly, 7 years later, and we're still talking about it, dude. That was just an experience in itself, that whole weekend. And getting to play that, we got offered to play it in a similar situation with what you were talking about. Someone had hit me up asking about music, and I didn't know. I knew Wedfest was going on. I didn't know I was going to get a chance to play it. And I was like, at the band I was playing in at the time, we didn't have any recordings. So what we did is we took a laptop, put a pillow over it, and practiced.
A good old pillow soundproofing.
Yeah. And then we had our vocalist put the vocals on after we did it with like a similar setup to this, and we just kind of screamed with the. It was dumb, but I mean, we wanted to play shows.
Got you the gig.
Yeah, and I remember I sent it. God, I don't even remember who the hell I sent it to. but I remember getting a message from Reese being like, "Hey, we got a 1 a.m. spot. You guys want it?" He was like, "You're a lot heavier than a lot of the bands are going to be playing, but he's like, we don't care. Like, we like what we heard," kind of thing.
It was probably a Saturday night. You guys probably played Saturday night because I know we had So Saith play as well.
I played on. I'm pretty sure I played on the rig of So Saith's bass player. Because at that time, dude, I was playing through a little practice, and you know how it is. You go through motions where like, I'm gonna sell my gear and quit playing. And,
Well, I've never been through that.
Well,
I still have the same kid I bought in high school.
well, shit, then you're better than me at that. Because I would just feel like I'd get burnt out, and then I'd sell my shit, and then I'd be pissed and want my shit back. And that year, I was one of those years, and then the band was like, 3 friends hit me up, "Hey, dude, let's play." And then a couple months in, Wedfest was actually our first show as that band. We only played like 5 shows, but yeah, I remember. I don't remember. I think that was when Reese was playing in So Saith.
I think so, yeah.
I was pretty sure it was his bass rig that I used.
Was it an orange?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his, yeah.
And he told me to take it easy on it, and I remember for a while, like our first like 3 songs, Bowser and Kindred were actually like sitting on the rig and holding my input in because I was drunk as piss, and we were playing like grind death metal, so I'm just running into it, just being crazy, and I just remember them sitting there holding it, but also like holding the rig down too, like
so it wouldn't go
yeah,
flying.
that was a good time. And like I said, dude, so much alcohol.
Well, there's so much emotions going through that weekend anyway, just because the memorial, like I said, of just that guy and all the people he reached out to. And we lit off all those lanterns, if you remember,
I remember
paper
that.
lanterns. And, we couldn't let it go without having a big throw up for the man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like I said, I don't remember having a huge part in the booking of all that or doing much, but like we helped a lot with the setup of it just by doing all the other Leaf Fests that we've had, so we'd had plenty of experience in doing days-long festivals outside. And it was a lot of fun. I had to learn a lot of songs that weekend.
Dude, 5 bands. I can't grasp 5 bands worth of music. Dude, I'm struggling right now with the band, right, because we scrapped our old set, switched genres, doing all that, and I'm playing with a pick now. I always like playing with my fingers. I just always like the tone better, but
Yeah.
we lost a guitarist, we switched genres, we're playing faster. I just couldn't keep up and switched to a pick to get more of a cleaner sound. Dude, trying to learn, I couldn't imagine doing 5 bands worth of music. Like, how in the heck? I mean, you survived, obviously, because you played all of the shit.
Well, a lot of it stems back to, like I said, Dad was a band director, so I've been around music my entire life.
Yeah.
Of different genres, and obviously grew up. Dad was a high school band director, so marching band, jazz bands, concert bands, all that.
Did you do all that?
I did, yeah. I did 10 years in marching band. I did like 6 in high school because I did it before I was a freshman, and I did it after I graduated. I did 4 years at Ball State, and did jazz bands through all that. So I just had musical knowledge and musical
And diversity.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. And so it was easy for me to pick up. That's why I said, I've turned down a lot of bands. A lot of bands I have turned down are metal bands because I don't have the feet for it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't spend all my time practicing my feet. Like so blast beats they're not in my grasp. They're not in my wheelhouse. But I got really decent hands and decent feet, just not for fast shit, blast beats and whatnot. But so for me, it's kind of easy to pick it up. Like I just need to know where the changes are. Like I'm not focusing on.
That's how you could improv when you were telling me the band was like, yeah, we're just gonna play. You just got to kind of pick up on it.
Yeah, and even playing with Pray for Mojo when I was playing bluegrass, like Brian Fickle was really good about like putting his foot up like it's going to change now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, as long as I know where the change is, I'll go. Like, I'll
So
follow
you
it.
cut on to people's body
Yeah.
language, being able to figure things out too.
Yeah, I can read people on stage really well and know when things are going to start. Okay, key changes are going to be now. Like, I'm not even following what key was in before. You know, I just know it's going to be there. So as long as you can get that grasp on it, like, you can pick up stuff really easy. Like at Wet Fest, you know, Ridiculous was coming up and going, hey, you're going to play this song. Run to the car, listen to the CD, like, okay, and it changes there. I mean, I kind of knew the songs anyway because I banded the band and I bought the CD myself.
Brush up.
But just to go through it in my head, like, okay, there's the changes, and then you go work something out with them. Like, give me a cue here when it's gonna.
Yeah.
So if you get a grasp on that, you can do it pretty easily. It was, for me, it was all the, especially being a drummer, just the moving the equipment, which was more hard on me than anything, than learning the music or any of that. So that shit's not light.
How many different stages did you play on the Wet Fest? Because I remember there's.
Well, we had the two stages side by side.
Yeah. Did you have to move back and
No.
forth? So they were cool enough and let you keep your kit.
That's the way we set it up that way, because like on Saturday I played with the Easy Lays, we played first that morning, and then the other side of the stage we played, and then Green played. And then I would just have to slide my drum set off, have another band play, and then once they took theirs off, I would just slide it back in.
It's cool that they let you do it like that.
Well, it was our rig.
Yeah, dude,
it was the FLP.
Yeah, that would have been a bitch.
Like we had one crew running the sound on that side of the stage, and then our crew, our guy Fred, running ours. So I went to high school with Fred, middle school with him.
So you know this guy a long time.
Oh yeah.
So you're like, hey dude, I'm staying on this stage. I'm in 5 bands. My kit's not moving. I'll slide it back out of their way, but it has to stay.
Yeah, you know, we're not gonna have to check my levels. Especially if I didn't have to move it. Like he wouldn't even touch nothing. Like he'd take the guitar rigs down and do that, but if he didn't have to touch the drums, then I was boom, set up, ready to go. The
And drums take a while to get. Like...
Yes, they take a while to get tuned up and leveled up, and come on. I see him just playing quarter notes over and over and over until he gets that damn. All right, I'm good. All right, sweet.
Or anything else you want to add in here? Right. Well, actually, I'm curious. When was the last show you played? Before we go to the winding down part, I want to know when the last time you played a show.
I think probably the last show I played was probably one of the last Christmas jams that Hendershot put on. When we were doing the Vintage Reserve stuff. I think 3 years ago, I think was like that Christmas jam was the last time I played. It was to a packed house because of essentially Hendershot.
Yeah.
You know? And well, actually no. The last one was with Hendershot, but it was at the Peach.
Oh.
I think it was his last show before he, had to go, because he had cancer in a lymph node, and so it was his last show before he was going to go on medical leave and get all that done. And that place was packed. I mean, fire marshal turning people away packed. Like, we had more room on stage, and we had 6 or 7 people up on that tiny ass little Pickle Beach stage, and we had more room
right there than in the entire bar.
We had more room just in my little bubble of my drum set than they did out in the crowd sitting there.
That's cool though that people showed up for him like that.
Says a lot about this town and a lot about certain musicians and the respect that you get from a lot, and that's unfortunately what I think's gonna go down in this town. Is being able to get that mutual respect for other musicians and bands, and get that, from friendships like meeting you and I meeting, just randomly.
Yeah, and meeting
because
at such a young age too.
Yeah, well, because there's not things going on like that where people of the same mindset can get together and enjoy what music they like to enjoy and rub elbows.
Yeah, well, you're just someone I always like maintaining contact with anyway, even if it didn't have to do with the band. I remember times just sitting with you at a bar and drinking with you just because I just like the camaraderie. Like, I know I'm younger than you, but at the same time, it's cool to have someone older than me too, that also was an influence on me at a young age, and you're still an influence on me as an adult. So
I appreciate that. I mean, even Chris Smiley says I'm an influence on me, and he can play circles around me now. And he's like, dude, you got me started. I was like, okay, but like you can outplay the shit out of me now. But
you want to hear a funny story actually that ties into one of the shows you put on? Remember how I told you the I got to play the One Dead Leaf, and it was with Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
Chris was our drummer.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing without a shirt on. Chris's mom didn't know Chris had a chest tattoo. She shows up to the show, is watching us play, and then sees Chris without a shirt on. And she lost her mind.
Because it's not a small tattoo.
No, dude, you know
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that giant phoenix on his chest. Oh my God, dude! I don't think we saw Chris for like a month after that. The guitar player we had at the time actually ended up having to play drums for us a few times because we already had booked shows. But Chris was like, "I gotta do what my mom tells me. I'm still in high school," but he just has this giant chest piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. And you're right.
I remember, well, the percussionist in Jake Hendershot and the Vintage Reserves, Justin Browning.
That name sounds familiar.
He played with a band called Groove On, and we had him play at one of the early fall leagues, I'm pretty sure, out at Nate's parents' house. He had to get up and leave in the middle of their set because he had a curfew. Because he was still in high school, and he had to get back to Newcastle, and he had to pack his shit up halfway through and be like, I gotta go home. Like, and now he was, and you know, years later, he's my percussionist in the reserves. You know, so it was like
that's
just
full
random
circle.
meeting them. But that's what I think is going to go down in this town, just because there's not opportunities.
Pandemic aside, dude,
Pandemic aside, they're still. Bar owners want to be lazy. Like they don't want to. They'll let you play on your stage, but they're not going to promote you. They're not going to help you get, you know, sure you can play, but bring a crowd.
Yeah.
And if you don't bring a crowd, they won't let you play again, but they're not going to help you bring a crowd, and they're not going to have somebody there working the door, you know. They'll have somebody working their sound because it's theirs, but, you know, it's just a lot more footwork, and then there's not, Muncie's not they're not doing the Halloween hootenanny downtown things anymore. No more freaky tiki's, no more Muncie Music Fest. Yeah, and I got to meet so many people just in those, and you know, you're not technically doing business, but you are doing business because you're meeting people like, hey, you know, we could get a gig together. I think we could go well, and
that's a lot with being a local musician is just showing up to shows and meeting people that way.
And I mean, I remember times that for years where I was drinking a hell of a lot more, but I'd go down to Docks and it'd be packed, and you would just meet so many people. You know, it's like you were bound to run into somebody there you knew, and you'd have a good time hanging out with that night. All that's gone. Like, you can go down there now, and there's like 4 or 5 people just sitting there. It's like, is anybody playing? It's a Friday night. No, there's no bands. You guys have like one of the best stages and sound systems in town.
One of the best sound guys in town.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah. And nobody's playing. Like,
for a while there, my band, we're good friends with Chris, especially me. Chris remembers me from being a kid at shows when he would run sound at like Center Stage and things like that. He's like, I remember you, the little kid with long hair. Like, we tried with Valhalla, and it wasn't anything on the venue because, like you said, best stage. Chris he's got all these crazy ass lights now, dude. He's done well for that. It was just getting people there. Like, we would make flyers. We'd put a flyer in the big ass window link flyer in the front. Try to promote on Facebook, but Facebook sucks for bands. We all know that. We could do a whole episode on just how social media sucks promoting yourself locally. But we did I think 11 shows in a year. We did like one a month and try to do different variety bands every time. And
it's just hard getting people out of their house anymore, getting people out to come to things. I mean, People don't even want to go to movie theaters anymore. You can just stream it at your house.
Yeah,
Like,
and now, I mean, going into the pandemic, live streaming your band set's a cool thing because you still get to experience what your friends are doing. But my concerns after, like what's going to happen when we don't live stream sets anymore, I'm actually able to play venues again. Because like what you're talking about, dude, it's...
are people going to come?
Yeah,
Like,
I had people, the last show we put on at Valhalla was our last Toys for Tots show because we couldn't do it obviously with the pandemic this past December. It was our third one. It's a fucking Toys for Tots show. We don't keep any of the money.
yeah.
$5 for 5 bands. We had Hell Came Home on that last one, which at the time Hell Came Home, dude,
Was breaking. They just won the 98.9
Yep.
Bear thing.
They had a huge following, and we had Demons of Rathica, who at that time and still had, they were building themselves up to have a good following. And then I had like my band, I actually have a flyer over there, a band called Quartet 6, I had to look at it real quick. But people were bitching about $5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not keeping any of this money.
We had a lot of that in FLP too.
Yeah, we had people bitch for $3 because I used to run $3 shows, 5 bands. I had a deal worked out. Chris and I, we figured things out. Bands always got paid, even if we did shitty at the door. Chris tries, dude.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the few people I think that still believe in the local music here.
I think it can be revived. It just needs, people just need to not rely on other people to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like you got to go out and make it on your own.
And
And it's hard. It's tough.
I don't know if you remember, you had that conversation with me before the first Mayhem in Muncie show. Because I initially, I did my first one, I think it was like 12 or 13, but I pitched it to you, and you told me, you were like, you have to get out there and do it. Like, you're bitching that you're not being able to play these shows because you're in a metal band, and the stigma, and you told me just what you said. You're like, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to put this on. You have to get people there. Like, you got to put in the legwork.
And it's as hard as it is to write the music, perfect the music, and get your band down. Like, a lot of people don't want to venture out and do all the other work on top of it.
Yeah.
They kind of just want to, oh, you got a stage, I got a band.
Let me get on there.
Let me get on there, and
I don't share.
well, why isn't there anybody here? Like, well, who'd you tell you were playing tonight? Well, we put up on our Facebook page, or even MySpace was a little bit better, I think, for kind of bands.
The thing I liked about MySpace was, like, say I was looking up Malachi, and when I would type in and go to your guys' page, your music would start playing like that.
Instantly, yeah.
And that in itself, it would draw you in, and then there was, like, options to purchase.
Or even if you went to somebody's page, like, you didn't know the name of my band, but you knew my name.
Yeah.
Like, you went to my page, I could have my,
And as soon as
I could have Malachi's music playing as soon as you come on mine, and you're like, oh, what's that band? And you can go to that, and then that band can take you somewhere else.
Yeah.
That band.
Now
you
can't.
Now it's everybody's selfies. It's like, look what I'm wearing today.
Yeah.
I don't care. Guess what? I'm wearing blue jeans and a black t-shirt, the same damn thing I've worn every day for the last 10 years.
It's lost on, I remember the flyers. I remember handbills. I still have a couple from, like, the different Leaf stuff, like nice laminated.
I remember going out and, like, I remember going down to Broad Ripple and stapling up flyers for the festivals we were having here in Muncie.
You guys,
and we'd get out and, like,
you would get
we'd assign certain people different, you would give them to you guys, get to that school, because we weren't in the schools anymore, so we'd get them, and that worked out a lot more than just, granted social media wasn't around then, but
and that's the
it's
thing,
getting out and
like,
doing the legwork, and like actually, driving all the way to Broad Ripple purely for the intent just to hang up 20 flyers and drive it home.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people rely too much on like Facebook to get people to their shows. But the thing is if you don't have a presence, like if you're playing locally, at least, and you're playing at Valhalla, go down there and hang out before the show. Put up a flyer for your show there. Get to know the bartender and do things like that. Like, you know, the bartenders there are cool. Get to know Chris. He may be a little, like, shy at first, but he's one of the nicest dudes you'll ever fucking meet.
I've never known him as shy, but I've known Chris forever.
Yeah.
So.
I've had people say he comes across kind of reserved when they go to talk to him. And
Now I walk in there if I'm playing a gig, it's been years, but I would walk in there, he'd look at me and go, not you again.
Yeah,
Are you back again? Like,
he always would give me shit. I love talking to that guy though, because it's the same thing with you, man. There's so much knowledge to have just from him, from you.
You've been around long enough, you're gonna, you know, like you said, you're gonna have stories to tell, you're gonna have knowledge to pass on, because I've been through hell and I've had successes, I've had failures, I've had bands that I love being in, I've had almost fights with band members, you know, you're gonna have that. But you're not gonna have any, you know, success locally or outside of here unless you go through that shit. Unless you go through the mud and drag yourself up and take the shit spot gigs. And because you take the shit spot gig one year and they do it again next year, they're like, okay, well, you played first last year, now we'll put you third or fourth. And it happens again, they're like, okay, now you can go fifth or sixth. And so you just work your way up. So you have to put in the legwork. And a lot of people do not want to do that anymore. And it's harder now because a lot of people in the public don't want to come out anyway. And like you said, $5 for 5 bands. I mean, really, come on.
And all the money's going to kids. Like, what?
Oh, and everybody thought, you know, when they come to a Dead Leaf or a Fallen Leaf and see 300, 350 people, they're like, oh, you guys must be banking. And I'm like, I'm not making a dime off of this.
And that's
like, what do you mean you're not making a dime off of this? Like, I'm getting my money back that I put into it.
Yeah.
But that's it. You know, the rest of it goes into the bank for next year.
Yeah, and that's what I dealt with too. People thinking, even a band member of mine, when I put on the Mayhem in Muncie show, he thought I was making money from it. And I was like, dude, I have 20 fucking bands I'm paying.
Yeah.
I have to go through the fucking loopholes with the city of Muncie. I had to have 3 sheriffs out there. 3 sheriffs for 10 hours. That's $350 per sheriff because they're $35 an hour.
And you got them cheap.
And then building rental was like $1,000. Some crazy shit like that. And then I had to pay a security deposit and I had to pay for the electricity that night. It's like, bro, I ain't making shit.
Yeah.
And
all they see is the number of people.
Yeah, I had like 400
at the door.
Like 400 people that first year. And I had, like I said, a bandmate was like, bro, like, you had to make money from this. My other 3 bandmates counted the money with me and helped me divvy it out to the bands. I lost.
Oh yeah, you're going to lose every year.
The first year I lost almost $1,500 of money I put in and my mom helped me with. Like, I don't know what people think, man. Like,
you're going to lose every year. I mean, even like I was talking about turning the receipts, you know. But we didn't get reimbursed the gas that it took us to drive to Broad Ripple, so that cost you.
Yep.
Out of your own pocket, you know. And it's just all that stuff. So you're going to lose out, and then if something happens, especially with us throwing the ones outdoors that we did, because we talked about, you know, it's always going to snow. It's always going to snow for Dead Leaf, but it didn't matter because it was indoors. But the outdoors, when it's going to rain.
You could have rain, snow,
we got to rent a tent, and we got to.
Yep.
So it's all that shit, and everybody's just like, oh man, you guys are banking, look at all these people. It's like, I'm going home just as broke as I was.
Yeah, like, probably worse.
I'm going to, you know, put a little bit more in my bank account that I had to take out of it, but it's not going to be where it was Tuesday, you know, and here we are Saturday. It's like, it's not going to be as much as I had before this whole thing started.
And that's just something that personally I do feel is lost, because like an example tomorrow, me and 2 of my bandmates are going to a show in Fort Wayne. We're not playing, but we're going to, like you said, rub elbows.
Yeah.
We're not playing right now, but we want to meet the bands that are playing right now. We want to see what the venue's like, get to know people, have the conversations, and get it like planted in their head. Like, hey, those like 3 dudes, they were cool, and they're in a band. Let me hit them up. I remember them, and you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing that I feel
It's a lot of legwork.
is it's lost in a sense because I don't see, and I'm not trying to like down talk bands and things like that. I don't, and I'm a offender myself when it comes to this. I don't go to a lot of shows that I'm not playing.
Right.
We've all been in those shoes.
Yeah, but when you've done what we've done for so long, where we've been in the bars for playing those gigs in this, me personally, I'm kind of over the bar scene. Like, I don't go to a bar anymore at all. It's like, hey, I'm bored. Let's go down to this bar. I don't do that anymore just because I'm kind of over. I'm just as happy chilling on my couch watching my TV as I would be the hours and hours I used to spend on bar stools.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's just really hard to get people to come out anymore because people of our age are kind of over it, and the people that are coming up in the ages, there's so much other shit for them. Like, you know, as far as like social media, YouTube, all that, you know, they can watch their favorite band instead of a local band. They could watch one of their shows on their phone, you know, instead of going down and spending the $3 to see a local band.
Yeah.
This is what we did. We put our heart and soul into this hour and a half of music. And I've never heard this shit, so when they, you know, they got no interest in it. Like,
Yeah.
so it's going to be rough, I think, going into the future.
Especially post-pandemic, you struggle getting people out before the coronavirus. I can only imagine what it's going to be like now. Like, I'm wondering myself about that show tomorrow, because I know the guy that put it on. He's a great dude, and I really want him to have a good turnout. But I wonder, you wonder, like, about, is he going to have a lot of people there? People going to bitch about the fact that they're having to pay this amount. He did a similar thing like we did, and like he's doing a 2-day show, 10 bands and 10 bands, and you buy one ticket, you get the whole weekend, or you can buy individual, but it's cheaper to buy the one. And you know, I just wonder, like, are people going to bitch the fact that you're paying $20 for 2 days? You're literally paying $1 a fucking band.
Yeah.
Like, and I want it to turn out well for him, because I don't want him to give up either, because he puts on a lot of good like festivals now, and I don't want him to be discouraged, you know.
Yeah.
Because I feel discouraged a lot, and I don't want that to happen to someone else.
It's rough to be a promoter. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, this day and age, it's got to be rough to be a promoter anywhere. Like, to do anything, trying to count on people coming back out. Like, and a lot of people do want to get back out, but at the same time, is it the number of people you're hoping want to get back out, or you know, people still content and like, I'm staying home, man. You know, the mask ban's been lifted, but a lot of places are still drive-through only. Their restaurants ain't even open. You know, but people are still requiring you to wear masks. But it's all been, so who knows?
Yeah.
People are going to be scared of that, not want to come out. And
it's going to affect the norm going forward a lot. And I'm with you, dude. The future makes me nervous locally. For just bands in general.
Yeah.
Not even some mainstream bands too. Like, I read like Ticketmaster's going to require like a vaccine card or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be an actual thing. You know how fucking social media is.
Oh yeah.
I didn't fact check that statement, but I've heard about it, and I wouldn't be beyond.
I'd hate to be that guy working the front gate at Deer Creek having to check everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see
You
your
can make a fake
card.
ticket. I can make a fake
Get scalpers trying to give out fucking vaccine tickets.
The guy standing out there, big billboard, just put your face in it and smile. It's like a fake ID. Get your fake vaccinations. But it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be something interesting to watch. I mean, I'm ready to get back out and go to concerts and whatnot, but it's finding the time and the money for me. I'm not scared about any of the other shit. It's finding the time. And
yeah, dude, you work weekends.
Yeah.
And that's the only time they're going on. What time you normally get off?
oh, well, I close, so 10, 11, midnight.
Yeah,
sometimes,
and you sometimes bands are playing that late, but if you've been there 8, 10 hours cooking, doing dishes, cleaning, all that shit, last thing you want to do is go sit on a fucking bar stool like you were talking about, because maybe.
I think one of the last shows I went out to was the Hell Came Home show, like upstairs at Big Shots.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally just on my way home from work, and it's like, oh, this shit's going on. I'm just gonna swing in here and be like, hey, it's late, you know. You're gonna charge me full cover. There's only one band left, you know. I'll give you some money, but I don't want to pay the full cover. A lot of times I wouldn't have to, but you know. But that was like one of the last. That was literally just because I was driving past it on my way home. Like, didn't have to go out of my way, and that's sad. That's sad for me to say. You know, I should be willing to go out of my way, but like you said, after a big long shift at work, it's like last thing I want to do is go out in public still smelling like food, covered in grease, and so it's hard for me to get out to shows. But I'm ready to get back out to shows. I'm ready to. I would love to play again. I mean, I have a few people that keep hitting me up to want to play, but it's probably more to just jam in their garage. I don't know if it'd be see the light of day, but
it'd probably just be nice to create again.
Yeah. It'd be nice to get loud. It'd be nice to get one of those drum sets out of my apartment.
What was I thinking there? Yeah, fuck, man. The last show we played was in December of 2019. That's the last show I went to, because we took a break after that to like try and write, record, like bands do. I mean,
yeah.
And then literally like 2 months into our break, coronavirus happened. And then my one guy had to quarantine himself because of his landlord. So we didn't, from like March to like, I think like May or June, didn't do anything. And then I wasn't going to shows because I work with kids. So I'm staying home, work home. I'm not doing shit. And I'm a social person when it comes, I like going to shows. I like playing shows. You know how it is. You're a musician too. Like,
I'm a stage whore. Like, I want to be on that stage.
Exactly. And not being able to do that, and then it just continuing, and then not being able to do our Toys for Tots show, which that would have been the 4th one we had done. And the fire department, the guy we talked to, he's always super cool about it. He's real supportive of us, the fact we're doing it. They always give us like a huge shout out and thank yous, and it's cool, man. Giving back to the community. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had the shop with the cop thing when I was a kid. Like, it's cool. It's cool to give back in that sense.
Well, as much as you want them to take care of you, and I'm not even talking like just the fire department or anything, but just like you want people to come out to your shows, you know, you want to go to theirs, and you want to support this company, you know, because it's small and local and needs more support than, say, this one. And that's why I try to go to local restaurants. I mean, I work in a local restaurant. Like some of the smaller stores, like the Muncie Map Company downtown. It's like really pretty awesome. Play great T-shirts and.
I have my bass case. It's covered right now. There's actually a bunch of stickers that I got from there.
Yeah, I've got a few of them on my drum cases as well.
Yeah, their shit's always really cool, and that's the thing too, man. You're a local musician. You want to support locally, not just music. Local shops, restaurants, vendors. And like you bringing up the Muncie Map, that's a cool place. Just give them a shout out. You know, people need to check that out. And there's the.
They're down on what, Charles Street?
Yeah, Charles.
No, it's not Charles. It's
I thought it's off Walnut. It's like one of the corners.
It's right around the corner from the Harrod, the Valhalla and whatnot. That would be Main Street. I can't.
It's
I've
one.
only lived in this town 43 years. I don't know the fucking name of it.
It's one of them.
Yeah.
It's off Walnut downtown.
Yeah.
Like, but that, you know, going even talking about Huron Valhalla, Stan, that's a local owned business. I mean, he's been here decades, and I don't think Stan's going anywhere.
Well, and no, and the Herat has been voted one of the top 100 dive bars.
Yeah.
And not calling
And,
not using the word dive as a bad thing,
Yeah.
you know. It's
and then the beer selection.
The beer selection
been
is-
voted
yeah.
in like top 100 or
Mhm.
10 too, a lot. And you know, people don't give things like that a chance, and that's one thing the pandemic taught me.
is yeah, that you gotta protect your town. You
Mhm.
know, you gotta protect the people who were trying to make it on their own in this town,
Yeah.
not just work for the big companies or just go
Mhm.
work at a big factory or something. They're trying to do something on their own.
And that's the thing that concerns me coming out of this pandemic, man. It's just how many people are gonna come back, not just to the local music scene, but to going back out to bars and all that. We rely on people to come out,
Yeah,
bars, restaurants, all that. Like, what's gonna happen next?
yeah.
And I mean, we could probably go on for
Yeah,
hours about what we
it's
think.
gonna be a struggle for everybody, I think. But I'm hoping that we'll come back. I don't think everybody's asked me that. You know, do you think everything will go back to normal? And I'm like, not the normal that we remember it.
Dude, it's even
It's going to
before
be
the
its
pandemic.
new normal. You know, like
Before the pandemic, it wasn't like it was just bringing up Deadleaf again.
no, everything. I mean, everything
re-
changes.
Yeah,
and-
I remember that first Deadleaf being packed, but that I went to, and looking at metal shows now, they're not like that.
Mm.
And it'll get worse post-pandemic. We're gonna have that new normal, like you're talking about, and the new normal is concerning because I still don't know what it looks like.
Yeah. It's hard to prepare for it when you don't know what it is.
Exactly. Fuck, let me see how long we've been talking. We're going on 2 hours.
Yeah, probably should
Uh,
go get cleaned up and changed for work at some point.
yeah. All right, man. I'll start winding down. I'll bring up that what I was talking to you about in Messenger. What era of music, locally or mainstream, do you feel like was like the best? Like,
Well, I mean, not to brag, but for locally, I think it was during the Leafs.
Mhm.
All those, just for because it's bragging, but it's not bragging. You know, we changed this town
mm-hmm.
because you know a lot of the Muncie Mayhem didn't happen. The Muncie Music Fest wasn't going on before that. I mean, none of the big Muncie Girl wasn't happening before we started doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we started doing that, and they saw how it grew for us, and how people started
Mm-hmm.
not piggybacking, but being like, oh, I could do something like
Dude,
that.
I straight
And-
piggyback,
and-
and I told you that.
Yeah.
Like,
But we didn't mind, you know, and that's why it's great that it happened. You know,
Mhm.
like we're honored to be a part of it and
Mhm.
be that
the influence.
catalyst that
Yeah.
started a lot of it. So I think, you know, in Muncie history-wise, I think that era was, and
Mhm.
it was also a lot, you know, the camaraderie in bands because
Yeah.
you know we threw a festival for ARF one time, and it was just a bunch of different
Mm-hmm.
genre bands. It wasn't all focused on one, and so just to bring all those different bands together, and you could meet people that you didn't think you'd ever meet.
Mhm.
And I think that period was great, just because Muncie music in that time was thriving. There was a lot of stuff going
Yeah.
on, and then it, you know, just as shit does, it kind of dwindles out because
Mhm.
you know hurdles were put in front of you where they weren't put in front of you before, and so I think that time was great. As far as nationally known music, I don't know. There's always stuff going on. I think it's harder now because bands can put an album together in their garage, and it's like the one-hit wonder. It's like, okay, you got that
Mhm.
one album, and then no one hears from you again
Yeah.
because you didn't put in the time to
Mm-hmm.
get to where you needed to be. You know, you just came out of the gates. But there's always stuff. If you want to find it, you can find it.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder, I think, because I miss Karma and One Music and Dan's Downtown Records and, you know, that stuff, going and searching for his music. And being like, you know.
And it's literally just a click now.
Yeah. And I bought albums before just on the album cover.
Same.
Like, and now I'm not gonna find that album cover. You're just strolling through music, you know, pages or whatnot. So I miss that, being able to go and look for your music and discover it and find it.
Yeah.
And hold it in your hand and unwrapping it and putting the CD in for the first time. That to me was the best era. Now, now I think it's, you know, I don't know if it's going to be too easy, too lazy for people to find what they want, they're not going to want to stretch out and broaden their horizons.
Not spend a couple hours in a record store looking through, just picking shit.
And, you know, picking the brain of the person working. And, you know, that's
another shout out.
That's where I got to meet,
Have
you know.
been at VGR?
I've been to Village Green,
Yeah, dude. Travis, the knowledge that man has.
Oh, yeah.
I've bought multiple vinyl and CDs completely based off just recommendations from him.
Oh, yeah.
Not even knowing the band itself. This dude tells me it's good. He knows what I like because we've talked about it. And then he suggests something, and now I'm like, cool. I buy it and I like it. I've bought over a dozen things just based off of his recommendation, and I've not disliked anything.
Yeah.
So.
And it's stores like that that I miss. So I think in that time, that era, late 90s, early 2000s, when you could go interact with the person working at the store, and they know what new albums came out because they're the ones that put them out. Like, oh, you like this band? Well, this band's a lot like them. Like, okay, well, I trust your word, so I'll pick it up. And
that's how I met Kindred.
Yeah.
Through, let's say, Karma and then Hot Topic.
Yeah.
So, and that's just another thing, picking someone's brain, like you were saying, just taking suggestions. I do it now when I go drink at Guardian. I did it when he worked at your Hot, too. So,
oh, yeah.
What beer do I try, Jason? Like, just...
And that goes back to that whole kind of respect thing. You respect their opinions on so much.
Yeah.
Like,
and it goes back into what you're talking about with camaraderie too, and all that, and just being able to build a friendship with people. You don't always have to, like, there doesn't always need to be that benefit.
No.
Like, sometimes, dude, it's just knowing that person and getting along with them and everything, and that ties into like what we had talked about too, that we feel like missing a little bit now. It's like I would go hang out with Jason just to hang out with him when he worked at Hero and Guardian. And of course I would go see the bands play and stuff, but I don't feel like a lot of bands are like that anymore. I know some are, I mean, but I don't know how many actually like hang out outside of a show in that sense. I mean, obviously when big festivals like we were talking with Wed Fest, a lot of the bands, everyone hung out because we were all there for a cause. But how many of you hung out after? Like, are you just social media friends?
Yeah.
Show swap? I mean, that's how I met my drummer. I booked this band, and then I played with this band, and then we just, you know, we started hanging out outside of shows. Found out he's a fucking solid dude. He's my best friend now. He's my neighbor now too. Like, just saying that respect and all that is just kind of lost. It's there, but it's not.
Yeah, it's there, but it's not as strong and as big as
it was.
Years
ago. Yeah.
Because I mean, like you said, you go hang out at the Hero, the Guardian, but back in the day, it was like go hang out at Karma for a few hours, or go hang out at One Music, or you know, like. I'm telling you, do you remember One Music?
No, I don't.
It was another record store, a lot like Karma, over like where Chili's is now, somewhere in that.
Yeah.
Or Silver Palace.
Yeah,
in that same shopping
I know
center.
Silver Palace. I actually, some of my first shows as a band were booked from hanging out with people at Silver Palace. So you always run into people. That's a place too I miss, man. But that's completely.
Well, I mean, it's completely different, but it's not, because you know there aren't that many pool halls now that aren't bars.
Oh, dude, one of my first shows that I played was at Breakers. When that was the thing, they had that little room off the pool hall.
Yeah. The front there,
Yeah, one of my first shows was played there, thanks to Jeff, just from showing up at Breakers and playing pool and hanging out there. He got to know me, got to know my music taste. I had been seeing him because he was in Dying Gear, and then he was like telling him I'm in a band and letting him hear what I'm playing, and then he was like, yeah, I can get you over here. We couple bands together, you know.
And little shows like that get your name out, and get you go up the ranks.
Yeah. He was super obviously helpful, and then, like I told you, being able to play Deadleaf that one year, yeah, we played first, but a lot of fucking people were there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it was cool.
Yeah, a lot of people were there at 3 in the afternoon, yep. But I think Deadleaf was one of the ones we actually had like kind of a line when the door opened. Like,
Yeah.
A, because we actually had a door, and the outdoors one, we didn't have a door. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, everything, it's going to be interesting to see, like, I'm glad I'm not in that genre just coming up now, or that age group coming up now, because I like the way my past way more.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out now.
Well, that ties into the saying, man. The last question I was going to ask you is, what advice would you give for bands now?
If you want it, you have to work for it. Like, and I'm not just talking like making the music or learning the music, but it goes back to what we were saying. If you want it, you actually have to go out there and make something for yourself to get it out there. Don't rely, on other people. You want to have a show at, let's say, Valhalla. Get the bands you want to play with, get flyers made, get your ass out there and post them everywhere you can, put them in gas stations, Don't just think that it's not like Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. That shit ain't gonna fucking happen. Like, you're gonna have to work for it. So, good luck.
Putting in the word. Alright, man. Anything last little bit you want to add before we sign off here, since you got work in about an hour?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's a really good idea what you're doing. I like listening to them, so I wish you all the best.
Yeah, I was nervous about starting it, but I wanted people like you that, you said 95.
Yeah.
Kendrick, I think he told me around 92, and Dave, I think's late 80s. Like,
yeah.
Y'all got stories, y'all got time. People need to, it goes into what you're talking about. It can be revitalized, and the scene can be made better. And that's...
Oh, it definitely can, because like I said, Muncie was like what it is now before we started the Leafs. And we made a hell of a big difference in it.
And that's what I'm hoping this will help spark something. People being able to hear your advice, people being able to hear what Kendrick had to say, and what, like, I'm assuming Dave, the stories this man's going to be able to tell me, like, I'm looking forward to that one too. I'm hoping...
The Gentle Giant Dave.
Yeah, I'm hoping people hear the stories from you guys, like the veterans in the scene, and it sparks something.
Yeah.
Because I can only do so much of my own.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And this is, I'm trying. So.
Yeah, you can't succeed if you don't try.
Yeah.
You can't get anywhere if you don't start. You can't, I don't know, run out of cliche things to say. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I hope something comes out of it. And more people, more bands, more people can make the memories like I have, and like you have, and the gigs that you played back in the day. And I remember one gig we damn near closed down the village because we were playing in front of an empty cup, and there were so many people. So it's those memories in my head that I love, and I feel bad if no one else
gets the experience,
get stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have those feelings, because it changes you. Like, music made me who I am. Like,
I'm saying.
Like, without it, I don't know who the fuck I would have been.
Yeah.
But
I feel that. All right. Well, I guess on that note, we'll go ahead and sign off here so Patty can get to work.
Right on.
My first